Hello again, and what I thought I might do today was take a fairly well-known song and play all the guitar parts in isolation, because it's a song that has a lot of guitar. This is maybe going to take about 3, 4, 5 parts, because as I say, there are a lot of guitar parts. But what I find very interesting is there are parts in the intro, and I'll tell you what the song is in a couple of minutes, that when you hear them on their own, it's not instantly apparent what the song is. So, to get started, I'll play the intro to the song. Okay, here we go. Right, that's the intro to the song. And it doesn't really sound like anything. It's not something that you would play and someone would go, I know what that is. Even if I gave myself and you the pitch by playing a chord, it's still not that readily apparent. So let's do that. You know, you might get it, you might not. If I heard a band play that, and that's 2 guitars, it's one going, and the other one going, I would probably think, I know what they're playing, but the guy's playing it wrong. That's not it. But I can assure you, that is the intro. That is the very first thing you hear, but you hear something else as well. So, the song in question is Let It Rain. It's on Eric Clapton's first solo album, which is called Eric Clapton. There's a fantastic version of this online at the moment by the Doobie Brothers with Peter Frampton. But the original is on that. And if you get the remastered thing, you get both mixes. There's a Tom Dowd mix, famous producer Tom Dowd, and there is a Delaney Bramlett mix, which I believe Eric Clapton prefers. They're not massively different, but there's more guitars on Delaney's mix. So, there's the intro to the song, which, as I say, it doesn't really give it away as Let It Rain. And that's because the part we know is missing. The part we know is this. Right? Now if you heard both those parts together, there's a good chance that you'll think, aha, that's Let It Rain. But you really need to hear that. Now, not long after that album came out, there was an album, and there was a concert and subsequently album from it called Eric Clapton's Rainbow Concert. It was a comeback album for Eric Clapton that was really put together by his friends in support of him. Rick Gresh was on the bass, and the guitar frontline was Pete Townshend, Eric himself and Ronnie Wood, which obviously gave you ample opportunity to play all those parts. So you could have had, if you like, you could have had Pete going that bit. You could have had Ronnie going, and you could have had Eric going. Yeah. But what they did, and I think it's Eric Clapton himself did it, is they chose to play a composite. Now, the bit I just played there's a harmony. It's an A and an E, right, which is what we call a fifth. So it's A, first note of the scale, first note of the A scale, and E the fifth, right? So we've got the first note of the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's the E. So the harmony of becomes, that's the 2 parts that you hear on the studio version that I just held up there. Now, on the Rainbow concert, they choose to do it slightly different, and somebody, now I haven't heard this album for a lot of years, but I do know there's a composite part. I do remember there's a composite part played. I think it's Eric played it himself. And what he played is this. there's a composite of that opening line, but that is played in thirds. So far, you get, which means the third part is nowhere to be found, you know. So here's your composite: A and C sharp. This is just all double stops, as we know. If you do these double stops, you can do them as like that, or you can do them as like that, right? So these ones are taking the third, in which case C sharp, adding an A, putting the A in the bottom. So there's our first one. Right? So we've got A and C sharp, G and B, B and D, and then back to the B. And that allows you to do the rundown like this. And we're into the song, right? So there's our various introductions. You know, you've got the E, you've got the buried part in the studio one, and you've got the composite. Right? That's it. And we're into the song. So that, although that took a bit of time, that is just the intro. So in 2 minutes, I'll show you the first verse.